Think about who your friends are, and if they've had any challenges with fertility or in this space, move with extra caution. I definitely, over the last weeks, have sometimes, like, my immediate anxiety around health and now having this baby inside me definitely kicked off of, like, I feel more health anxious. And there was times when I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have told these people, like maybe I've told too many people. And I probably would have, maybe I would have felt differently if something had happened, like negative had happened. But I just wanted to talk about that because I think so many people even said to me, like, oh, you're not waiting till 12 weeks. And I was like, no, I'm not. For my close friends, I'm not going to do that. But it's just an interesting thing, I think, in the dialogue of pregnancy and in the dialogue of how blame can be placed sometimes on women for something which is 100% out of their control and not their fault. So yeah, I just want to talk about that. Actually, one of my friends gave really good advice. My friend Hannah, she said, I was like, I'm thinking of telling these people, I'm going to see them tomorrow. Like, what do you think I should do? But bear in mind, this is on the day I found out. So I'm still like completely fucking overwhelmed. And she just said, think about who your friends are. And if they've had any challenges with fertility or in this space, obviously move like with extra caution. And I was like, yes, of course. And she said that she had heard from people who've had pregnancy loss that it was easier for them to hear via a text, which can sound really impersonal, but because if you're telling someone face to face or you're telling someone like on a phone call, they have to have like an immediate reaction. And obviously like you want them to have a positive reaction. They want to give a positive reaction, but there's so many feelings caught up in that, like challenge of pregnancy loss or challenge of if you're trying to start a family and you're having fertility issues and then you hear another one of your friends is pregnant, like that can be really, really difficult. And she was like, maybe just tell some people by text. And I thought that was just such valuable advice and really, really thoughtful. And something, I guess, just to consider is I had other people who said, you know, well, people will be happy for your happiness. Completely, I completely agree. But there are people in my life who I did wait to 12 weeks because I knew that they'd gone through challenges like this. And I didn't want to cause any fear in them on behalf of me. I didn't want them to like worry for me, if that makes sense. And yeah, so that was just something that I decided on. The other thing was like, what do I tell my work? Because I'm a freelancer and yeah, you're kind of expected to show up every day and just like smash it out every single day. That's why you get paid a better day rate. Like there's no slacking. You have to come in, deliver, and that's that. So I also told my boss at like, I think 7 weeks or something, because I felt fucking horrendous. Like, let's go into the first trimester. Let's go into the myth of the first trimester versus the reality, for me anyway, of the first trimester. Every day, I woke up feeling horrendous. Morning sickness, myth. For me, myth. All day sickness, yes, absolutely. I felt like I was going to vomit every minute of every day. Did I vomit? I actually didn't vomit, which is... I realise I'm really, really lucky for, because when I was talking to people who've had babies, I can't remember what the thing's called. I want to see it's called HG, EG. I really should know this to talk about it on the pod. But there's a condition where you get really bad nausea to the point that some people are hospitalised for it. And actually my friend has it every single time she's pregnant. One of my other friends had it to the point that she was hospitalised. These are all like friends of friends, by the way, because none of my immediate friends in the UK have had children, apart from one. One has. They've had 2 children now. The myth of morning sickness, I'm calling bullshit. I didn't have morning sickness, I had all day sickness. The myth of supersonic smell, for me, yeah, so true. I could smell anything. I was like a bloodhound. We moved into this new house, right? And I was on the top floor, it's 4 floors. And I'd be sitting on the bed feeling nauseous as fuck. And I would smell cigarette smoke and I'd be like, what is that? Go out on the balcony, nobody smoking. And then I look down and in the garden next door on the ground floor, this girl has just lit a cigarette, like just lit it, and literally with her first puff, it's gone all the way up 4 floors, and I smell it because I am a bloodhound. I can smell everything. So that for me was very, very true. It seems to have stopped now, to be honest. It seemed to really only be like, I don't know, I found out at week 6. It was kind of weeks like 6 to 12. It was like first trimester for me personally. And it's funny because it kind of ties into the craving thing, because the other thing people keep asking me is like, oh, do you have any weird cravings? And I was like, not really. But if I smell something or if I see something, I'd be like, that's exactly what I want. I won't like spontaneously have a craving. But for example, I walked past a man no, it was actually on the tube. This man smelled like yogurt. Most people would be like, that's disgusting. For me, I was like, oh my God, I need to eat a yogurt. And it had to be a crunch corner. Ideally, it would have been the one with the little banana pieces, but they didn't have that. I got a different one. Haven't eaten a crunch corner probably in 5 years. And I was like, that's the only thing I can eat right now. Or I'd be like, I just want beige food. I want a chicken Kiev. I want something dirty and disgusting and cheap and delicious. I wanted a lot of beige food in my first trimester. The other thing, which was, I actually was really lucky because I still could eat. I would like make a whole dish, be really, really hungry, sit down, and then look at it and be like, oh, the amount of times Chris heard, I don't want to eat this. I can't eat this, so often. But I would force myself to eat. And I know some people, like my nutritionist was saying she has a client who can literally only eat like plain white bread and butter. That's no life. That is no life. And also, what is the fucking biological, like what is the biology of making you feel like you're going to vomit every 5 seconds when you're trying to grow life? Like surely you need the nutrients to be able to grow the baby. So why does your body make you feel so disgustingly sick? It does not make any sense. Like that's something they didn't get right in evolution. Like don't make food repulse me if you're trying to get me to eat to grow this baby. Doesn't make sense. The other thing was like the brain fog of feeling so ill, and then I would eat and then I'd have like, it was almost like how I imagine or how I've seen dementia be expressed is that when my granddad had dementia, towards the end, he was very, like, he didn't really know what was going on a lot of the time. But then he'd get a window of what they call like lucidness, or I don't know if that's the right word, a window of being lucid. And he would be like back in the room and know all of us and know what's going on. And that's kind of how I felt. It's like, I'd feel fucking horrendous, eat, and then for like half an hour, I'd have like a lucid window and I'd be like, oh, I need to edit the podcast. I need to do my work. I need to go for a walk. And then I would just crash back down to being nauseous again. Like that was my experience. Now I'm so happy to say that I think I got to like week 11, 12, and it started to pass. And now I don't really have the nausea. I'm super tired, but I don't have the nausea. The other thing I found in these early days was like a weird instant protectiveness. There was like this immediate like, oh, I'm going to keep this thing safe inside me. Even though I haven't wrapped around what this looks like, I'm going to keep this thing really, really safe. Which was interesting. It did feel immediate. And also the fear of something going wrong was like my innate default. I was like checking the toilet paper every time I went to the toilet and like, you know, checking for blood and having cramps, and ChatGPT was my absolute best friend. Like ChatGPT has been my like prenatal nurse. I've just been asking it everything, anything. Even like I asked it, like if I sneeze too hard, can I dislodge the baby? Because I'm like, this tiny little thing is like, I honestly think when I saw it on the screen, it was like the size of a lentil or a grain of, I think it was a grain of rice, because we called it Condoleezza rice. I don't know why, it just where our brains went. And I was like, this tiny piece of rice, like surely if I move too much, the rice is going to get dislodged. Thankfully that really didn't happen. But these ideas of like, if I sneeze too much, is it going to go wrong? If I fart too hard, is it going to go wrong? Like so many questions. And ChatGPT has just been my best friend for that. So that is the journey